What's up, everyone? This is Sam, coach of your Great Lakes Grimmsnarls, and today we are here to do a power rankings for the VBA Season 3 for the Kanto division. We're doing Kanto right now, and then I'm doing Johto right after this, and they should both release right after the other. Oh, that should be a 0, not. Okay, so, um, basically how we're going to be doing this is I have these all the teams plugged into uh, this sheet. Uh, Shout out to Otto for giving this to me. I don't know the guy who made it, but and then I have a tier list, and ignore these ads because I don't have an ad blocker on here. But I'm gonna be basically just putting the teams into tiers. Um, so we're just gonna go in draft order. I'm also not including uh, any transactions that may have taken place because I'm even though this is kind of late, we're already in week 2 now. I'm not taking into account any matches that have taken place or any trades that have happened. So that being said, we're gonna start off with the Los Angeles Weasels. Um, so they have, yeah, you can see the roster here, and then there are important moves down in the bottom right, as well as their Pokemon sorted by speed tiers, and then how many of each typing they have at the very bottom, and then whether or not they're overall weak or resistant to the typings, or neutral, which would be just like a gray one. So, starting off with this team, I really like the rain mode here. I think Kingdra being able to click Muddy Water in this format in particular is really good. Obviously, Incineroar is an amazing pick. Um, in this draft, he was the first pick. We're also going in pick order. So the Weasels were the first pick, and they took Incineroar, which was, in my opinion, a very smart pick to make. I think Escavalier is great on a rain team. I think Raichu is good on a rain team. I really like their Firewater Grass core of Incin, Dhelmise, and then either Politoed or Kingdra, either way. Um, I like that they have redirection. I think Fungus in Tier 4 was a steal. That being said, I don't love that this team has so many Mons that can hold Eviolite. It's got 5, like 5 out of 11. And to me, that's too much. Obviously, only one Mon can hold Eviolite on any given week, and maybe the other can run Sash, but then what are you doing with the others? I mean, Lanoon and Munchlax can Belly Drum, so I guess you could run Citrus or Figgy Berry or whatever on one of those. But I don't know. I don't love like to me. I don't know. I mean, Gothorita, Fungus, Sliggoo, Lanoon, and Munchlax are all, in my opinion, they're all good tier 5s or like low tier picks on their own. But when they're all together, it kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. Like, why is Sliggoo here? I guess it gets hydration, but like, why is Sliggoo here when you have Kingdra already? You have a dragon. It's not like you needed the dragon typing. Um, Again, like I think all these low tier picks are good in a vacuum, but I think once you stack them up, it seems kind of odd to me. Like I'm not really seeing what the purpose is. And to me, when you restrict yourself in team building by saying, okay, I can't run Lanoon and Munchlax together. I mean, not that you can't, but you know, if you can't run Belly Drum on both of them, I mean, I guess you could if you really wanted to. In it, there is redirection to get the Belly Drum off. Um, and I actually like Fungus more than other redirectors in this format, just because it does stuff other than redirect. Because I do think redirection's not quite as good in this format as it is in a max format, and Fungus does stuff other than redirect. It's like a base 5 or 15 speed, which is basically like the slowest thing you can get, other than Munchlax, which is 5. I just I'm just not sure. To me, a lot of this team like 6 mons they bring to each week are going to look really awkward because of the almost necessity to run only one or two out of those 5 mons. And then, I mean, again, Instant, Politoed, Kingdra, Raichu, Escavalier, like that's 6. And you could run with that every week and probably pick up some wins. But do you want to do that? Like, Dhelmise and Escavalier kind of want Trick Room. Gothorita's not a bad Trick Room setter by any means, but you kind of have to have Eviolite on it, and then you can't really run Sliggoo at all, and then, or Munchlax can get awkward, or Fungus can get awkward. So I just don't love the overall, all the NFEs on here. That being said, I don't think this team is like bad. We'll probably throw it in, probably C tier for now. Like, despite that, I think they covered their bases kind decently well. All right, we are moving on to the Island Dragons. So this team, their theme, they were second pick overall. Their theme is dragons, and they took, I think, 3 dragons. So they have a sand mode. They have Dragapult is a phenomenal tier 1, one of the best in this format. To me, I mean, it goes without saying, I don't like having 3 dragon types on one team. I don't really love Dragalge in this format because I think it's better when it can max. It's not useless by any means. It can still do stuff in this format. It's got a really powerful Sludge Wave, stuff like that, and it gets decent coverage and everything. But again, there's no trick. For some reason, Rapidash gets Trick Room apparently. I can't remove it either. But Rapidash does not get Trick Room, as far as I know. So there's no Trick Room setter here, which can make Pincurchin and Dragalge and Hippowdon feel kind of awkward, even Glaceon to a certain extent. I really like Hitmontop as a second tier 1 here. I don't know. I like the speed control on this team for its fast mode is really great. Like, you are getting, Dragapult's stupid fast, Dracozolt and Aerodactyl, or Aerodactyl gets really good, it's a really good tailwind setter. Hippowdon and Dracozolt give you a nice sand core where Dracozolt's outspeeding everything. Delibird and Glaceon get Icy Wind, but to me, it just lacks, outside of the sand core, lacks synergy. Like, some of these picks don't make sense to me. Like, okay, he had Dracozolt and then took Pincurchin. Like, I don't get that. I don't really know what Pincurchin is doing here. It feels a little weird. But other than that, this team is not, again, it's not like awful. I feel like, I mean, some of these matchups, three weaknesses to Dragon and no resists. 5 ice weaknesses. Like, dude, he has three resists, or 2 resists, but his resists are Sharpedo and Rapidash. Like, or Glaceon. Yeah, and Glaceon. Sharpedo and Rapidash barely even count as resists. And Glaceon, okay, its bulk is decent, so yeah, it does. But I don't really care for this team all that much. Yeah, I know it shouldn't be as big of a deal to me as it is, but I just can't get past the stacking of dragon types, and I get it's their theme. Hawk the Wanderer, the coach for this team, did the same thing last season, and I respect it, if that's what you want to do. But, like, your only way to hit fairy types here is Dragalge, and even then they're hitting it neutral. I don't know, man. 4 fairy weaknesses, 1 resist, and the resist is Rapidash. To me, it's going to be super easy to abuse this team's weaknesses, and even though it's going to have, like, good speed control and good damage output, like, yeah, I'm not a fan overall. I think, there's so many good picks here, like Hitmontop and Dragapult and Aerodactyl, and Glaceon. I love Glaceon, but some of them just kind of feel completely wasted. I don't think Dracozolt needs to be on a team with Dragapult. I think, yeah, I don't know. Pincurchin feels weird with Dracozolt. Overall, yeah, I'm not... Oh, that's wrong. That's Kanto or Johto. I think we're going to throw this one... don't know if it's worse than Weasels. I'm gonna put it in D tier for now. We might change these at the end. So next up, we've got the Twin Leaf Town Tyrannitars. They were third in the draft, and they took Rillaboom first pick, which is correct. So the main thing that I like about this team is Rillaboom, Azumarill, Volcarona is a super, super good Firewater Grass core. I really like that a lot. Volcarona pairs nicely with Rillaboom because it can, Rillaboom can fake stuff out, so Volcarona can set up with a Quiver Dance, but you can also just, like, redirect for Azumarill so it can Belly Drum. You can also run Grassy Seed on Volcarona to live physical hits better because its physical defense is like nothing. I think, I like some of these picks. Like I like Avalog in tier 5. I think that's a really good value for tier 5. Gardevoir's great. One of my main issues with the team in general is it's not overly physical, but one of my main, I guess, problems is there's some weird type overlaps that I don't feel like they need to be there. This team dies to Rock Slide pretty hard. They do have 2 Wide Guard users, and one of them resists Rock, so I don't mind it a ton. Machamp is pretty good as a tier 3. But overall, Rillaboom, Azumarill, and Volcarona is just such a good core. And, like, one of my main issues with this team is there's not much of a fast mode here. Like, Corviknight can Tailwind, but to me, it's like you're not really. I mean, Volcarona's your fastest thing, and then your next fastest thing is Rillaboom at 85. So, like, yeah, it's clicking Grassy Glide. Like, I get that, and Volcarona can set up, but I don't know. To me, it's like I feel like some of the pieces on this team are a little inconsistent. Namely, I don't think you can rely on Volcarona protecting Azumarill all the time because Azumarill's weak to grass. So it could just die to a grass move if you click Rage Powder. I mean, you can protect and kill the grass type with Volcarona. Like, you can get into a bunch of, like, what-if situations. But, yeah, I'd say my main gripe with this team is the speed tiers just because, again, fastest thing, base 100, that's fine. Like, that's not awful, but that's your only thing at 100 or above. And your Tailwind setter is Corviknight, which is good, but not, like, exceptional. I ran it for a whole season in GLDL. I've used this thing a lot. I love Corviknight, but it's not the best at setting Tailwind in my experience. I think I almost never ran Tailwind on it, but that's besides the point. Trevenant is a good Trick Room setter, but yeah, I'm just not sure. Like there's a lot of type coverage here that's sacrificed and seemingly for no reason. I could be missing it, but like 2 fairies, 2 rock types, 2 bug types, 2 ghost types. Like Shedinja could just be something else. It is tier 5, so I get that. But I don't know. This team is definitely strong. Like it's not bad. Rhydon is a decent tier 5 pick. Some of the other tier 5s feel pretty awkward here. Like Shedinja, Avalog, and Barbaracle just seem like weird picks to me. But other than that, I like this team. I do think that, having 3 ghost weaknesses and no resists kind of hurts. Other than that, the typings look pretty okay. Have a lot of fire weaknesses too. But yeah, overall, I think this team is good. It's gonna take names. Like it's strong. It has a lot of damage, but I'm feeling like B, like high B tier. I think the lower tier picks need to make more sense to me. 2 water types too. I don't know if I mentioned that, but if the lower tier picks made more sense, I would like this team better. Next up, we have the Gardevoir Guzzlords at 4th pick, and they took some good stuff. I think obviously the standout thing here is going to be the Sand mode with Excadrill, Gigalith, and then also Stoutland as an option. I like all of those picks. I you know, you're stacking 3 fighting weaknesses, but you do have Togetic and Golisopod and Mantine. Yeah, and Mantine to resist those. That being said, yeah, and the points I put on here may be wrong because I put them in once with trades and then had to go back and change everything. Other than that, though, you know, this team's it's like the speed tiers are weird because you need like this team needs the sand mode to be like this team needs the sand mode to be going fast. I mean, Mantine's a good Tailwind setter, don't get me wrong. And Mr. Rhyme is not much of a Trick Room setter. Even though I do like the pick, I like Mr. Rhyme in tier 3. It's not the most consistent Trick Room setter, so I'm did a pretty good job of not stacking up too many common typings. How is Fracture? Base 117 attack, but base 67 speed with those defenses is kind of rough. Overall, you know, I mean, got some good fake out users, got a good Intimidate, got a good redirection. I am a little curious about how Togetic is going to do in this format compared to a max format. But I don't think it's going to be bad. And I like the Maractus here. I think having Storm Drain for your Excadrill and Gigalith are good. You could also like Surf with Mantine next to it too. I like those potential modes. Yeah, overall, I don't hate this team. The Firewater Grass Core is a little weak to me, but they clearly just didn't prioritize that as much, and that's fine. But I do think Intimidate hurts this team quite a bit. Like, yes, you have Inner Focus Hitmonchan, but like everything else. I mean, Excadrill, Gigalith, Fracture, Flareon, Stoutland, Golisopod, all are like physical. So this team's damage output is almost completely physical. Like Mantine, yeah, but it's only base 80 special attack, and Maractus is like base 106. So, and Mr. Rhyme is base 110. So like, you know, not awful, but I am worried about like this team's matchups into some of the teams that have good Intimidate mons. But I don't think any of them are going to be like unplayable either. Yeah, there's nothing too much about the typings that I don't like. Yeah, I don't mind this team. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. I think we're going to throw it in B tier as well. Alright, let's see. Wooster Stunfisks, or I believe it's Worcester, right? They took Amoonguss, Mienshao, Talonflame, Luxray, Malamar, Claydol, Mawile, Jellicent, Vanillix, Druddigon, and Exploud. So first thing off the bat about this team, I like the type spread out. I think they only doubled up on Psychic types, and they only missed Bug and Rock. So that's nice. Mienshao's amazing in this format. Talonflame is great. Mienshao next to Talonflame is super good because you can quick guard, and then set Tailwind. I don't hate Amoonguss in this format. I don't love it. But it's definitely not. It's definitely good. The only reason I don't love it is because it's tier 1, and to me tier 1 feels a little expensive. But I mean, you know, it's not. I don't have any like gripes with that tier 1. I think. How are these low 2 picks? Explode is fine. Mawile's fine. Druddigon, I like Druddigon. Sheer Force stuff in this format is pretty nice. Off a base 120 attack stat and a decent Trick Room. He does have very consistent Trick Room setters, mainly Jellicent, but Malamar and Claydol can do it pretty well too. So the speed control in this team is really great in my opinion. Um, in general, like Talonflame for Tailwind and Jellicent for Trick Room, then mix in the extra options of Claydol and Malamar too. I like that a lot. I am I am kind of thinking that this team may lack a little bit of damage output. Um, like if we sort by attack, well, okay, Mienshao, Luxray, and Dredigan are strong. Um, especially it's not as good. Um, so maybe not as much as I thought. I still do think that the damage output here isn't super great. Um, but that being said, like Inner Focus Mienshao is phenomenal in this format. Probably one of the best tier 2s, honestly. I think Luxray is good. Yeah, overall, I do, again, one of my main concerns is the damage output, but he has really consistent speed control, and he has a pretty good redirector slash, like, Trick Room sleeper type thing in Amoonguss, so I don't think he's, like, he's not going to struggle a ton there. I like the Exploud in tier 5. Vanillix feels a little awkward, in my opinion. Trying to think. I mean, nothing but here benefits from the hail, but it isn't an inherently bad pick. I would be a little cautious putting it on the team with Talonflame because you're gonna potentially remove its Gale Wings with the hail chip. But I don't think, like, I saw him. I think he ran safety goggles on Talonflame week 1 to avoid that. But overall, having Intimidate's nice. I mean, Maul is not amazing, but it's not bad either. Yeah, I don't, again, not a team that I love, but not a team that I hate either. It seems like there's a lot of those in Kanto. I think we're going to throw this one in the B tier as well. All right, next up we got Corpus Christi Krabbies. So, all right. So this team I really, really like. So they took Garchomp as their first pick, I believe. Garchomp in this format is phenomenal. Next to Rotom Heat, that Disquake mode is super strong. Torracat's great. Lickitung, I know I said I'm not going to use week 1 matches, but he did work with it in week 1. I'm a big believer in Throw. I'm a big believer in Lurantis. Primarina's busted. Unfezant is like, it's a tier 5. It's not awful for tier 5. The damage output on this team is great. Like Garchomp and Scizor on the physical side, Rotom Heat and Primarina on the special side is like good on its own. But then adding Espeon and Lurantis and Throw can all hit hard, and Unfezant with like a crit set can. Yeah, this team is really scary. The speed tiers are great. Gourgeist is really nice as a Trick Room setter, in my opinion. Frisk is really good in this format. In draft in general, it's really good. He has such consistent spread damage, and I think, like with Primarina, Garchomp, and Rotom Heat, a super good priority from Scizor. I like this team a lot. He has a good fake out user. He does only have one, but I don't think that's a detriment when your one and fake out user is good and consistent as Torracat is. And base 90 fake out is faster than like a lot of fake outs in this format. So you can also just beat out other fake outs a lot. Man, yeah, I don't know how critical I'm being of these teams, but honestly, like, this team is really good. The Firewater Grass Core is really nice. The Fantasy Core is absolutely busted. Garchomp, Scizor, and Primarina is nuts. The Spread damage is there. Type spread is there. Type matchups are there. I really, this might be. I think I'm gonna throw it in the S tier. I really like this team. Corpus Christi Kinglers. Oh, I put Krabbies on here. Whoops. All right, next up is Alexandria Arcanines. So they took Indeedee as their first pick, Indeedee female, and then went from there. First off, just got to get it out of the way. Marowak Alola is one of the most busted mons in this format, and it was in Tier 2, which was a mistake, and it shouldn't have happened, if you ask me. But overall, I like this team a lot. There's, the hail mode in the low tiers with Arctivish and Abomasnow is really great. 2 tier 4s, like, that's good value there. Nidoking is phenomenal in this format. It's in tier 3 too, which is really crazy. Aromatisse is one of the best Trick Room setters. Crobat is probably the best second. I mean, Whimsicott's better. Crobat's probably better than Talonflame, honestly, in this format. I don't like Talonflame. And it gets Quick Guard too, yeah. I really like this team. I don't have a ton to say about it. It's really good. Liepard is insanely good. And then, running it on terrain teams gets you the Unburdened sets or the Prankster sets. Psychic Terrain is never going to stop you from running, running Liepard, because you can just not run Prankster. And Unburdened with the Psychic Seed, gets you a lot of really nice calcs too. Rotom is an amazing support mon, especially in this format. It feels like, with no max, it feels like it's going to be harder to kill because, it's only weak to Dark and Ghost, I think? Yeah, because Electric type Levitator. So it's only got 2 weaknesses, and then pair that with the fact that it just has so many disruptive moves, like Will-O-Wisp, Eerie Impulse, Electro Web, stuff that's really good. They got Stonjourner, which is one of, if not the best, tier 5. It's that, Stonjourner's nuts in tier 5. Yeah, overall, I mean, I don't have a ton to say about this team. Indeedee F is hands down the best redirector in this format. And probably one of the top, 2 or 3 mons in this format. So it's going to do super well. Again, Marowak is super good. Marowak is super good, in my opinion, especially in Tier 2. Yeah, I think I'm going to throw this one in the S tier as well. This team is really well built. All right, next up is the Beantown Binacles. Binacles? I don't know. So they took Cinderace as their first pick, I believe. And then... okay, so this team, their type coverage is pretty good. I really like the Thwackey, and I know I'm biased because I also took Cinderace in my division. I do think Cinderace is really good in this format. People tend to disagree, but I think it can do work. Is it as consistent or as straightforward to use as it is in a max format? Absolutely not even close. But it's still really good. Overall, Libero as a defensive typing is super great. It gets good support moves, like Coaching and Court Change, Taunt, Helping Hand, stuff like that. So support sets, I think, are better in this format. Combined with Goodra, I think Goodra is really great as well. Running a Grassy Seed set on it means it basically doesn't die. Cofagrigus is one of the better Trick Room setters, and it was tier 2. It's still a good tier 2 for sure. It says Marowak gets Will-O-Wisp, but I don't think it does. Marowak in tier 4 was also a mistake. I think it's funny that one of the owners of the league took it. I see you, Theo. But that being said, I mean, the rain mode here is pretty cool. I don't know that you needed 2 Swift Swim users here, but it does seem like maybe Armaldo was like, oh, I need these typings, and it's a Swift Swim user, so I can use it, so might as well. Which I don't hate that. A little bit Ice Weak. Freeze Dry like eats this team. Hits Rotom, Thwackey, Poliwrath, Marowak, Pelipper 4 times, and Goodra. So, you know, Freeze Dry hits this team. Ice moves in general hit this team pretty hard. But Cinderace is going to be, and Caparaja are going to, especially, are going to be really good at staving those off. Speed control is a little iffy. I don't know that Pelipper Tailwind is enough. Cofagrigus Trick Room is really good. And Caparaja under Trick Room, as well as like Armaldo and Marowak, are good under Trick Room. So I think the Trick Room mode here is solid. The fast mode, I mean, you have Cinderace and you have the rain mode. Again, I think there's a few picks. You know, Rotom Fan gives you a nice discharge or a Disquake combo with Rotom and Marowak, so I like that. I think consistent spread damage in this format is really nice, and he has a lot. He has Muddy Water. I think Pelipper gets Muddy Water. Earthquake on Marowak. Discharge on Rotom Fan. Rock Slide on Armaldo, which hits really hard with base 125 attack and stab. But overall, like, this team hits really hard. Most of the threats are physical, other than Goodra. Goodra and Rotom and Pelipper. I guess those are fine, like special options. But yeah, the speed control in like the upper range of the speed tiers gives me again like a little bit of pause, because I don't know that Cinderace is enough to like solo stuff without Tailwind support or against other Tailwind, like opposing Tailwind. And again, like, I don't know how consistent of a Tailwind center Pelipper is going to be, but I don't hate this. I actually really like this team. I think I'm going to throw it in A tier. I know these aren't super detailed, and I'm kind of looking at these for the first time like today. So you know, bear with me. I know I'm probably missing things, and I'm probably missing things, and I'm probably saying stuff that's just flat out wrong. But all right, so this is Rebellion. They took Arcanine, I believe was their first pick. So first things I noticed, or maybe Whimsicott, I don't know. First things I noticed about this team, Whimsicott is the best Tailwind setter in this format. Super good in Tier 1. I like it here a lot. Dragonite is phenomenal in Tier 2. Arcanine is a great, amazing Tier 1. Kangaskhan is great in Tier 3. Galvantula and Steelix are all great. Graplock is decent. Skuntank decent. Porygon decent. I like almost all these picks. One thing that stands out to me, I don't love Togepi in this format. I think normally just having that redirection option in a max format makes prep kind of iffy sometimes, but I don't. To me, without max, redirection is not as essential, and Togepi does almost nothing other than Follow Me, which makes me a little concerned, and it doesn't even have the bulk that like Togetic has, or the offensive power that Togekiss has. And I get it's a Tier 4, right? Like I understand that, but I just don't personally like it. The fact that it's like that it's only clicking Follow Me and like maybe base 20 speed Charm. But like when your best tier setter is Porygon, like Porygon's not bad by any means. I like it as a Tier 5 a lot. I don't, in this format where almost every team is having Taunt, I don't know how consistent it's going to be, because you almost have to run Eviolite on it, and then if you do, you can get taunted for free. But I don't know if that's a huge issue. I do wish maybe there was a better Trick Room setter here to support like the Steelix and Graplocked better. But you know, the upper speed control with Tailwind and then Electro Web on Galvantula at base 108 speed. Inteleon is already really fast. I don't know if I love the Inteleon pick either. I don't hate it by any means. Base 125 special attack, 120 speed is never bad. Kangaskhan is probably one of the best fake out users in this format. Yeah, overall, this team is really solid though. It's got a lot of good support, support, but also like enough offensive capability as well. It's definitely not like a standard team, probably. Well, there's some standard, like pretty standard stuff in here, but it's not like a super standard team. But I like it. I'm probably gonna throw it in A tier. Well, we have one in every tier now, at least. All right, next up is the Latchkey Kids. So they took Dracovish as their first pick, which I agree with. Dracovish was almost my first pick. And Dracovish is super solid. Really, really busted in this format, especially since he got Tyranitar as well. And after those two, that's where my problems start with this team. First off, I don't know what Golbat does. It doesn't get Tailwind. I mean, look at its stats. Base 90, 80 attack. Like, I don't know what this thing is doing. The speed tiers here are bad. The Trick Room setters are good, but not amazing. Greedent is good under Trick Room, but again, that's his only thing lower than base 40. Because his next thing up is Brion, which also is weird to me. Also, wait. Okay, yeah, never mind. Drifblim should not be here. Drifblim is like useless on this team. I mean, you can run like flare boost stuff, but base 80 speed, like, why? I don't know, man. I get the Gothitelle and Obstagoon stuff, but like a strong fighting type mon into this team really hurts. Obstagoon and T-Tar are both 4 times weak. Greedent is weak. Double is weak. Like, there's so much stuff on this team. Like, why are there 4 normal types? Why are there, like, he's missing, like, he doesn't have a fairy type or a steel type or a fire type. Grass, electric, ice, ground, bug, and bug doesn't matter. But, like, he's missing so many crucial typings. But then he doubles up on flying, psychic, dark, water, and 4 normal types. Like, I don't get this team. This team is, it's not you. Yeah, I don't know. This team just doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, Dracovish T-Tar is gonna do damage. I love Obstagoon. I love Gothitelle. I love Greedent. I love a lot of these mons, but like, why are they together here? That's what I don't understand. I don't really get what Dubwool does for the team here. It feels like, oh, this is a good tier 5. I'm gonna throw it on. Same with Brion. I don't know what Brion does. Phalanx is fine. I guess it also gets Defiant. Well, that's my other thing. It's like, I mean, you take Dracovish T-Tar. Do you really need, like, 2 Defiant users and a competitive user? I don't really think so. There's also 4 fairy weaknesses and only 1 resist, and the resist is Golbat. Which, yeah, that's rough. 3 electric weaknesses, no resists. Tons of fighting problems. Yeah, this is, he's a good matchup into ghost types, I guess, because he has 4 normal types, and 2 dark types. I don't like this. This team doesn't make sense to me at all. I gotta be real. Maybe I'm missing something big, but like, this really doesn't make sense to me. I'm gonna throw this in the lowest spot currently. I think that's actually considerably worse than the Island Dragons. All right, next up is the Springfield Spoinks. I believe Gyarados was their first pick, which I like. Salamence is great. What's there? The ice matchup here is a little scary, especially if the team has freeze dry. You're hitting Gyarados, Mandibuzz, Shiinotic, Salamence, Nidoking, or Nidoqueen, sorry, and Lileep. But you know it's doable. Not every team has freeze dry, obviously. But that's fine. I don't think that's a huge issue. I like Ninetales Alola here, especially with Arctozolt. I'm a big Arctozolt believer. Um, it gets like stab bolt beam coverage, which is super nice. I'm a big believer in Salamence. There is like this beat up core with Gallade and Salazzle. I don't know how good that is in this format, but it's definitely there. Again, I don't hate Gyarados, but I don't love it either. I do think that the typing can make it a little bit of a liability in this format with so many electric and rock spread moves. But Nidoqueen is phenomenal. Really love that mon. Ninetales Alola is great, again, especially with Arctozolt. Yeah, I like this team. The speed control, the Tailwind setter Mandibuzz is good. It's not like amazing as a Tailwind setter, but it does a lot of other things really well. Really good foul play, Snarl, Spammer, stuff like that. I like. Salazzle being your only fake out is maybe a little concerning, but not a huge issue to me. Covered the typings really well. Little scary to see like 3 flying types. There's a lot of type overlap here, even though he didn't miss a lot of typings, which is kind of odd. But the Firewater Grass core here is decent. But like, yeah, 3 flying types is maybe a little unnecessary, but it's okay as well. I don't think it's a huge deal for this team. He has good answers to electric moves with like Nidoqueen, and I guess you could run Volt Absorb, Arctozolt, but I don't know if you want to. I'm gonna throw this team in B tier. I think it's pretty average. All right, last up, we have Greedy Greninjas. They were last pick and took Togekiss. Good pick. I think Togekiss is great in this format. Let's see here. So Aegislash is phenomenal in this format, by the way. I think Aegislash is very, very good with no max. Being able to change forms and all that, like take hits and then deal hits like a truck, and I really like it personally. And then he's got the Slurpuff Indeedee male core, which is great. Indeedee female was already taken at this time, but he didn't need it with Togekiss anyway. Fake out users are a little suspect to me, Shiftry and Indeedee, because half the time you can't use it on Indeedee, and then Shiftry is just kind of bad. But yeah, I actually don't really get what Shiftry is doing here in general. Firewater Grass core is a little suspect to me overall. Like, I like Starmie, but Shiftry and Hemor don't make sense to me. This team, the speed tiers are good. They don't go as low as I'd like them to, but there's also there's not a huge trick room mode here. Like if you're setting it with Audino, which is like, it does it, I guess. But the higher, like the upper speed tiers are really good. 130, 115, 195. Like that's pretty much as fast as you ever need. No Tailwind is a little problematic to me. But I do think like Slurpuff Indeedee is kind of your best means of speed control. I guess you have Icy Wind Starmie as well. Yeah, I like this team. It's definitely not bad by any means. I like most of these picks. Sawk is great. I love Sawk. It just feels, I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels kind of off. Like something about it is like setting me off in some way, and I can't decide what it is. Yeah, the offensive pressure from this team is good. Um, yeah, I like this team. It's definitely not bad by any means. I'm gonna throw it in the beats here, I think, as well. All right, well, there you have it. Those are my tiers. Sorry, I know they're a little bit. Things were probably a little. I'm sure I missed stuff. I probably should have looked at these teams closer before I recorded this, but I've been so busy lately that I had to get this done now. Yeah, overall, I think the teams here are pretty solid. I think there's only a few teams that are like really need work. And yeah, these teams up top especially are like really solid. If I were to order these, I think dragons are worse than Weasels. I think Greninjas are probably up here. Yeah, like that. I might even move Stunfisk's down here. I think. Hmm. Yeah, I do think the Kinglers are the best team in this division. Uh, yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Again, just maybe I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but these don't take into account coach play style or like coach favorites or anything like that. Like these are just objective looks at the team and the comp and the tools and the typings and what they have available, their speed control and move options and all that. So it doesn't take into account any of that. Um, but you know, I think preseason, like I think this is a decent picture of how I feel the teams stack up to each other. And yeah, other than that, I'm about to record the Johto one right now. But thanks for watching, everyone.